Nigeria's federal capital city of Abuja, the Federal Project Support Unit, FPSU, is asking the world to yet take a good look of another of its life-changing stories. This federal body, coordinating activities of Community and Social Development Program, CSDP, is again opening its door, revealing the heartwarming life it supported communities to create in the Northwest. CSDP is a World Bank intervention program with the contribution of states. The federal government is the coordinating body. The CSDP program thrives in 30 states of the Federation. In some states, it has been around since 2009.
The success of CSDP largely hinges on the fact that it is people-centered. The people, the poor and vulnerable in poor communities, at the center, at the focus of our intervention. And it deploys what we call the community-driven development approach. That means, again, the people are in the forefront. Our federal, state, and even local government offices only facilitate, gives them ample technical support and guidance. But the resources is put at their disposal. So they determine what they want to do with these resources. And they manage the resources. They even contribute their labor beyond what is required.
CSDP works in the image and likeness of the federal government. It is the policy of the federal government to lift 100 million Nigerians out of the clutches of poverty over a period of 10 years.
CSDP strategies focuses primarily on the target group for the federal government initiative of pulling people out of poverty. Persons living with persons of concern are at the core of that strategy. And so part of the programs of CSDP targeting this group of people could be said to be at the core of pulling 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years.
In a life well spent across 11 years of performance of passion and integrity, CSDP has supported over 17,000 micro projects. Over 90 billion naira was spent in the process. As a result as well, the project not only built a rich outlay of infrastructure nationwide, it also built an institutional framework. Talking of institutional framework, CSDP uses a simple economic model to deliver its support to communities around the country. It is the CDD model, or Community-Driven Development Model. Communities always choose the project they want to and seek for CSDP support to achieve it. This bottom-up approach of delivering development works well for CSDP. In fact, all those 17,000 micro projects it executed across the country through CDD are physically around and working for the people. No abandoned projects and no failed projects.
Most of our projects have been sustained. We have encouraged all the CPMCs, that is the Community Project Management Committees and the Group Project Management Committees for vulnerable groups, to open a sustainability account. And these accounts, sustainability accounts, are being managed by they themselves to ensure minor repairs and even major repairs as the case may be. The activities, the programs, the kind of micro projects we do are under the residual list of the Nigerian Constitution. That is, they're under the purview of the local government. So, for example, if you assist a poor community to construct a health center, and the health center is being staffed by personnel from the local government, what is that? Already, sustainability elements already infused into it. Okay? So the monitoring is taking place at the local government level, at the CPMC level, at the community level, because it's their project. It is going to be very, very active, even beyond CSDP.
Initially, we say, let there be participation of the poor. And we started from the idea of let them say exactly what they want. And then let's design around that and implement around that. Identifying it, designing it, and implementing it are different issues. Because the moment you put some bureaucracy around the design and a lot of bureaucracy around the implementation, you ended up at times not exactly implementing what the poor themselves had said they wanted. You ended up at times putting more of the resources in administration rather than in the services that they said they want. But the CDD approach has broken all of that down. Because as they are saying it, they are the ones actually implementing it by themselves.
The model has come forward for recommendation by various stakeholders across the country.
From that community down to this, it's only one general hospital service in all the community. And the community decided, well, we need our own hospital. From to this CSDP, we approached them. They accepted to assist. We contributed our own share. So why is the building of the hospital? So why is the construction of the borehole? We now see it as our own project because we invested our resources, our talent, and our time.
CSDP intervention in the Northwest has been as phenomenal as it possibly could be in other zones. It so happens, however, that out of the 8 states in the Northwest, all the 3 states are directly linked to the CSDP project. They are Kebbi, Zamfara, and Katsina. Environment often determines what projects communities want CSDP to support them to actualize. Northwest is an extensive savanna, a transition land of Sudan and Sahelian savanna and the desert in the far north. Because of the dry nature of the land, water can be scarce. So, water forms a major expression of interest among many communities. Education follows in a close second. Birnin Kebbi, the capital city of Kebbi State, is good to the eye. It is a well-laid-out township. It has this wholesale attachment to trees too that guarantees all year-round fresh air. For close to a dozen years, Kebbi State generally has been having a life-changing fresh air that addresses poverty and vulnerability. Through those years, it has been on the operational channel of Community and Social Development Program CSDP, and how much of that makes life more bearable to especially hard-to-reach communities.
CSDP actually began its operation in 2009 in Kebbi State, but actual field operations commenced in 2010. And since then, we have approved up to 669 micro projects across the state. Initially, we were into all the 21 local government areas, apart from one local government area, that's Mayama, who has never participated in CSDP. But we assisted in 20 local government areas. So after the expiration of the first original credit, additional financing came in, and we were focused on the poverty local government areas based on poverty map, and we were given initially 9 local government areas. We selected 9 local government areas, then we also added 7, making 16. So presently we are into 16 local government areas.
The hallmark of CSDP projects nationwide is that they are service-driven. They are visible to the eye, a concrete reality that works and impacts. In that wise, we can say on authority that all the 669 micro projects executed by CSDP in Kebbi State are in existence and are operational, and the communities are directly benefiting from them. We undertook deliberate tour of some of these CSDP macro projects across 16 local government areas in Kebbi. In all areas, the collective happiness and sense of pride of beneficiary communities can be enough as a reward. Water supply topped the demand chart for CSDP projects in Kebbi, some 80% of the demand chart. It is not without reason that water is a sector most supported. Kebbi State is a mixture of Sahelian savanna and desert. Both are not known for their rich water content. Prior interventions in water by other institutions in the state often collapse with their completion. Poor and vulnerable communities in Kebbi State have seen years of water hunger. CSDP support to most of these communities has helped them to go around this difficulty. Kuyu, in Gondo local government area of Kebbi State, is seated in an open savanna. It is dry and distant. Its story can be touching. One of the stories is, of course, the story of water. The Community and Social Development Agency in Birnin Kebbi has supported these people to have a water point for their livestock and for the people of the area. Now, these people really needed this because the distance between them and the closest city is Gwandu, which is almost over 40 kilometers. But more than that, these people are herdsmen who are in dire need of water. But you know what? They never do have it. Because to go to water here, you have to dig deep and dig hard and dig over 200 meters down. And you know what? The depth can collapse and then there is no water.
Kuyu is a satellite of some 7 communities, all independent. The graphics show people in genuine need of water. They have large human and livestock population, but boreholes don't do well in their community. They tell stories of how they used to compete for water with their livestock at distant ponds at dry season. It's all over now. CSDP has supported them to end their water issue.
Our community never had a water borehole. We only see it when we travel out. We never knew we have the resource underground. CSDP make it possible for us to harness it. Our livestock, our community, come to benefit directly and daily. In the manner people of the city enjoy clean water, so we enjoy it too.
Life at the water point is relentless. We arrived late morning, but still saw images of activities. Peak periods are usually early morning when the livestock gather in numbers for their water ahead of their movement to the grazing areas. For the human population, it is an all-day routine. The added value of this project lies in the fact that Kuyu community alone applied for it, but all the 7 neighboring communities come to directly benefit. They in fact compares to better health for themselves and their livestock on account of the borehole. Kuyu community charge 5 naira for a bucket of water to help in maintaining the facility.
We have a workable sustainability plan. We tasked the head of the Fulani community to move around herdsmen here, to be collecting small amount from them for maintenance of the facility.
The people of Kuyu actually have 3 projects with the CSDP support under one community development plan, CDP. They also have support in education, where they built 2 classrooms and a headmaster's office. At the time of our visit, it was a school holiday period, but the blackboard gave an ambience of a school where teaching and learning were going on. The people of Kuyu have a less start on education.
Take the example of myself. I am 51 years and I was born here in Kuyu, but I have never known classroom. Look, I have elder brothers and uncles here. They never have been in classroom. CSDP intervention is our first experience with classroom. None of our people have ever been in modern school. We have neighbors across. We see their children become soldiers, police, medical doctors, and so forth. Our peers, our neighbors, yet we never had that advantage.
If I have not been a journalist, I definitely would have been a teacher. I love being a teacher, although I am not. So, because of that, you find that whenever I see something that relates to teaching, it excites me. So when I come to Kuyu, I found a vibrant classroom, very vibrant. But then, the story is not about the vibrancy of the classroom. It is about the people of Kuyu and education itself. The people of Kuyu had never had the opportunity to have any form of Western education. The story the people told me is that none of their people, and they are a satellite of over 8 communities, but none of their people has ever attended any formal school system like we know it today. But then, it will be all over now. Community and Social Development Agency in Kebbi State has provided them with the 2 blocks of classrooms and an office block for the headmaster to kickstart their desire for education. Well, it is coming in the 21st century.
Chaligay, still in Gwandu local government area, had a concrete wall that is over 60 years. They never had another, and it is never enough. It often fails in dry season, and even when it is prolific, getting the water can be a health hazard to human beings and a trial to their livestock.
In Chalgwai, the community there, a small population of no more than 200 people, have devised a way of watering their livestock. It is using their donkeys to draw the water from a well, a concrete well actually, that is over 200 meters deep. It has been working for them for years, and their livestock have been getting the needed water. It may look laborious and tough, and in fact there is an intervention now which reduces the burden of finding water along the community.
It is a hectic of a life for the animals drawing water here. To imagine it is the life they have been practicing for decades. It is heartwarming to see CSDP support Chalgai community, where now they construct a mini solar water scheme. We found picture of relief on the faces of the people. They are getting over their 60-year toil with water. The story they told of having to travel to distant points to find water in the dry season is over.
In sincere truth, this project immensely benefited us. All our long suffering on account of water is now over.
It has been 2 years since people of Chalgai have finished these waterworks and are using it. They have another CSDP support for the construction of 2 blocks of classroom under one CDP or community development plan. Like the story of Kuyu, the people of Chalgai had never been beneficiaries of school building all life. Their children used to attend classes under trees and makeshift structures. Rains often turns out to be damaging on their school attendance. The classes they built with the CSDP grant allow them stability in both attendance and learning environment.
It is our good fortune CSDP gave us support which ended our struggle with classrooms. It is 2 years since we built the classrooms. Weather conditions do not drive our school children home. Our water project is 2 years too.
The classrooms in Chalgai support primary 1 to 4 pupils. The community talk about needing more support for their classrooms. It is a different story in Lenikaswa in Koko local government area. Here, the community, with the grant from the CSDP in Kebbi, pursued and completed rehabilitation of 4 market stalls. Rural markets are the economic hub of rural economy. Wide ranges of rural populace come from near and distant places to markets to engage in different economic endeavor. It is so with the Lenikaswa market. It happened that most of the market stalls here are made of constructs or are makeshift structures. Rains often disperse the market, and traders often lose goods in attempts to find cover from the rain. With the 4 market stalls, Lenikaswa Development Association rehabilitated with CSDP grant. Over 60 groups of traders found a secure place to trade at no cost.
The biggest beneficiaries of the market stalls in Leni are a group of young girls who are always bringing groundnut oil and local delicacy quickly to the market. You can see inside. These girls before have no specific place to stay. They literally plot. But today, with the development, with the rehabilitation of these market stalls, these girls have a stable place where they can do their marketing. And you know what? They are benefiting very well. And nobody is charging them anything for doing so. You talk of how Community and Social Development Agency is touching lives. You can see these girls as an example of just that kind of intervention.
Malam Sani here, who benefits from the rehabilitated stalls, shares his experience of what his life was before the intervention.
The truth is, prior to this renovation, I have no permanent place in this market. I kept being moved out of spaces. When the renovation was completed, I was allocated this place free, and I am very happy indeed.
It is our luck we arrived Lenikaswa on a market day, so the difference the rehabilitated stalls are making can be recognized at once. But CSDP support to allow people of Lenikaswa stop flood is perhaps a more remarkable and impactful intervention. This poor rural community live with the flood all their lives. They are located along multiple water channels that flow directly to their settlement with the rainy season. Erosion on account of the flooded water leaves behind rough edges across the town and brings down houses. With the rains, flood disallows intra-village movement for hours, sometimes days, when the rains are intense. When the community approached CSDP with their issue, it obliged them. And today, the community built bridges that effectively allow them free movement even when the waters arrive. and the flood is addressed once and for all.
Our people commend us when they see us. We tell them that CSDP supported the project, and it is a reality because of their unity. Without unity, we cannot pull it off. We also tell them that insofar as they will continue to unite for a common goal, their development will be limitless. In fact, there is possibility for a new project with a community bonding.
The community showed out the wooden structures they used to erect to allow them passage across parts of the village with the rains. They often collapsed, and there were reports of people losing lives as a result. It is all history now. The people of Lene Kasua have a bridge of life and are guaranteed social and economic activities under all weather. One of the magic wand of CSDP supported project is that with little money, never above 10 million naira, much is achieved, and it is well preserved and always close to the heart of benefiting communities. How do the government of Kebbi State feels about this model as a workable tool?
The government of Senator Obakar Atiku Bagudu is thinking as one of the best projects ever initiated by the federal government. And in fact, it has been completely supported by His Excellency, the Governor. If you go around the state, you find a lot of signboards that this water project, this project, CSDP project. In fact, what it has done to the people of Kebbi State is that it has boosted the morale of the ordinary man to think that he can contribute to the development of his state.
The General Manager CSDP Kebbi State says he has over 300 applications or expressions of interest for their support, which have not been attended to. Perhaps with the prospect of a new intervention package, the NKS more can benefit.
When we start, it's a 2-year program. Each state is going to get $20 million nominal allocation, and this money should be spent within 24 months, but using the principle of program for results. The result must show before states are reimbursed. And I mean, the speed of activity is going to be very, very fast.
If there is one landmark that truly identifies Zamfara State, it has to be Dutsen Kwatarkwashi. It is a mountain chain covering several kilometers and conspicuous to any visitor to Gusau. The added beauty of these mountain ranges in that in all their history, they have been supporting life. It happens as well that over the last dozen years, Zamfara State have been benefiting from yet another icon that is much more a landmark than what Dutsen Kwatarkwashi is a symbol of. It is of course again the Community and Social Development Program, CSDP. This World Bank Assisted Intervention Program has true to character supported the emergence of a wide body of infrastructure in Zamfara State that no system could ever boast of having done more.
From 2009 to date, we gave financing or financial support to communities to implement 744 projects at the tune of 2,063 million naira.
It may sound jaded, but where CSDP supports, something life-changing emerges. It has no history of failed projects. In Zamfara State, it happened that all the 744 micro-projects executed over the years have been live and touching lives. On the scale of preference, education topped the community demand chart for CSDP support in Zamfara State.
Major focus in the state, Zamfara up north, the upper part of the country up north, education has been the priority, and followed by health and water. So these are the major areas among the 8 sectors. I think education took about 60% of the resources they were able to give assistance to the communities.
A visit to some of these micro projects in Zamfara reinforces my personal belief that truly CSDP works diligently on poverty and vulnerability. There is the story of Erdogan in Bungudu, where a group sought the assistance of CSDP in Zamfara to support children opened by banditry. to enable them have a special education.
We put off the place first. So when we did that, we knew we could not put in place things that are required. And having knowledge of what the CSDP is doing, we contacted this through the Eruga community, and were able to get intervention of this place. And you could see how impressive it has been.
CSDP support allowed this organization to rehabilitate the buildings where the learning will take place. In the building, they put in place a computer center with the CSDP support. The CSDP support also allowed for a befitting library, the books in the library, and all the furniture for the computer center and the library. In a remarkable turn of events, these banditry open children are having a new lease of life few can boast of with the CSDP support and others.
If you knew how these children were when they came in, some of them had never even been out to their district headquarters. Talk less of coming to Gusau. Some of them had never seen electricity. A few of them had even never seen a standard motor vehicle. And I assure you that the standard the children are getting here, even my own children are not getting that.
The lessons being taught to these children is pure science, training their mind to innovation and skills development. In fact, for the 2 years since they are here, their progress has been outlandish. Apart from regimented acquisition of science lessons, they can be innovative too.
This is our ATM card. When you fix here.
Ubaidullah never knew what an ATM machine has been. It was described to him. And when he participated in a science exhibition in Abuja, he was showing what it is in real life, and he touched it. Ubaidullah now has his potential ATM machine, and it works. Another of these children produced a solar power pan that really works. As a matter of fact, there have been so many displays what these open children do exceptionally. There are no girls in this school, and the boys are 60, and the school is not planning to bring more. The decision is purposeful.
We want these boys themselves to be the ones running this house, making the future better for other children in their capacity.
Based on their current trend, attaining the goal of this organization for these children is just a matter of time. Another beautiful side to the CSDP support here is the partnership built to sustain the project. The Bungudu local government area and Bungudu Emirate and the two NGOs were at the heart of this project, and together they are forever. But Zamfara is a case study where partnership plays very important role in supporting CSDP supported projects. In Talata Mapara, CSDP supported Talata Mapara Development Trust Fund to have a computer-based test center. What CSDP did here opened doors for more support to come.
This center is the only one owned by a community in the whole state. This is a center where computer test is being conducted. That is to say, writing examination using computer. You don't need to come with a single biro or a paper. Your own is only to come and sit down at the computer and write your examination. The questions will be there. Because going to tertiary education entails that a student must write this computer-based test through Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. So the community now approach CSDP, and we are happy CSDP, we appreciate what they have done to us.
One community and social development agency in Zamfara State provided them with all the cubes, with all the seats, and provided a motorized borehole for them, and did help them to renovate the hole in which they are going to do this work of theirs. Central Bank of Nigeria did come and provided them with computers and networked them.
300 set of laptops.
And 300 set of laptops, that's what the chairman CMC did say here. Now, what we are saying essentially is the partnership that CSDP has always been advocating, that let there be a situation where when they come with a program to support communities, to execute valuable program that will help their own communities, let other organizations, individuals come forward as well to come and support them so that there can be sustainability of the programs and that people can continue to enjoy them in the long run. And I think that is the beauty of this program more than anything else.
We are very, very passionate. We are very, very happy that the partnership issue is being explored and it's yielding results. And, I can give some instances, for example. There are some diasporan Nigerians who live abroad. and who have been remitting money home for one community project or the other. And there hasn't been value for such monies over time. But with CSDP and the kind of structure we have put in place, in droves, they support their communities, not just to implement the micro project, but also to sustain it. So our partnership is actually multifarious. CSDP has not made this name without leveraging on other support coming from other partners. And that is actually the principle. When the CDP, what we call the Community Development Plan, is being conceived of, it is like a shopping list. It is like a wish list for the communities. So they use that because we may not be able to address all the issues that they have identified as their priority in that particular community. So the communities are free to say, look, CSDP did this in collaboration, facilitated us, we have produced this CDP, they're able to achieve 1 or 2 elements out of this. Can you help us with 3 and 4? We have such going on. Actually, we encourage it.
There is another interesting story. Not far away from Talata Mapara, it is another impact story by CSDP support. It is in Dulbi, 15 kilometers away from Talata Mapara. Dulbi is a state of over 10 communities. These communities do not have a health center of their own despite their population. Every health issue requiring clinic attendance entails the distant journey to Talata. Water is a sore issue with them too, and perennial. So the Dulbi Community Development Association contacted CSDP in Zamfara for support on that scope. With the CSDP support, the community built a befitting primary health center and a borehole and 2 toilets. The health center has provision for admission and tools for day-to-day running, which are all supported by CSDP. The clinic attends to all cases, and neighboring communities come to benefit from it too.
Per day, I do see more than 20 people in a day. More than that. Sometimes I will close in the evening because of the patients.
One thing I found particularly exciting with this clinic is that it conducts COVID-19 vaccination.
More than 100 clients.
These are the names of people who benefited from the immunization.
I'm the first person.
You are the first person?
You see my name here.
Okay. So you are COVID-free?
By God's grace.
The water flows ceaselessly too. It never stops despite being available to over 10 communities always.
We only used to have concrete wells that dry with the end of rains. We had to travel to distant villages to find water. In case of sickness, before this clinic, no matter how serious or minor cases, we had to go to Mafara by motorcycle or by car.
People are now beginning to believe again that indeed the government is there for them. They are finally drinking portable drinking water. They are finally having access to health care facility close to where they live without traveling long distances. Their needs are being met, and are being met because the government has also consciously put them in the position to address these challenges themselves. It makes one very, very happy that in our time, the Nigerian government has become very, very responsive to the needs of poor people in this country and open up opportunities for people to aspire and give opportunities to grow, socioeconomically, and then also to be lifted out of poverty.
The experiments are on at the Science Laboratory in Government Girls Day Secondary School by Kirua in Saifi local government area of Zamfara State. Some 50 students are registered for the science examination ahead of this year's NECO and WAEC. It will be the first time the school is taking science examination in NECO. For the over 20 years of its life, this girls' secondary school has never been allowed to sit for science examinations. The reason is simple. They do not have a science laboratory. So despite the renewed drive to introduce girls to science studies in the North generally, girls who finished secondary school here never got it. It is all over now. The Community Association in Chaifi and the Parent Teachers Association, apparently concerned by the development, contacted CSDP in Gusau on their difficulties, and the agency obliged them. It supported the community, where now they built a state-of-the-art science laboratory and 2 blocks of classrooms.
These facilities make this school different from other schools in the town. We have the multipurpose laboratory which we can do the chemistry, physics, animal husbandry, and the biology subject. We are doing it there. And also the computer lab. It is the only lab we have in the town, in all the schools. These schools, it is the only school that gained this opportunity from the CSDP. We have 2 facilities from them, and we are very appreciated for it.
You really need to see the desire burning in these girls for science education and the difference the classes are making in their lives. Generally, we can only capture symbolic projects in states where CSDP asserts its magic wand. Yet, all government systems acknowledge and appreciate the depth of its support and impact. Katsina is an ancient home of scholarship. It is also Nigeria's last frontier north. This is the home state of late Umar Musa Yar'Adua and Muhammadu Buhari, 2 iconic Nigerian civilian presidents. Since that period in 2009, Katsina State has been with the CSDP, and the relationship had been outstanding.
We supported about 494 micro projects within a lifespan of about 185 communities and groups, and about 1,333 million was disbursed as a grant to these communities.
Education took the bulk of CSDP intervention in Katsina State. It took 50% of the support fund. There are some interventions too that CSDP supported, which you do not see anywhere. One of it is in Tsagero, Irimi local government area. Tsagero has a general hospital which was supported by the CSDP. The hospital daily receives 10 to 15 cases of malnutrition, especially among children. Mortality is not uncommon. Concerned, the Tsagero Community Development Association wrote to CSDP in Katsina again, needing support to build Children's Malnutrition Support Center. Looking at their case, the CSDP supported the community. The community built the center and bought all the equipment that they may be needed for it. Today, the center is a turning point in addressing issues of malnutrition in Tsagero and neighboring communities.
There is an improvement from before the construction and the execution of this project. Comparing it with the present situation now, I can rate it to 60 to 70% improved success.
Scores of mothers daily turn up to receive counseling and addressing malnutrition and dietary requirements needed to overcome it. Generally, however, this center is working daily to bring the cases of malnutrition in Tsagero to a minimum. The center is also serving as antenatal and postnatal care center. In Babariga, Batagrawa local government area, a group of 15 women came together to build a skills acquisition center for widows, divorcees, and vesico-vaginal fistula patients. The women call themselves Babariga Women Group. Ordinarily, the community Babariga is a center for the treatment of vesico-vaginal fistula or BVF. The women were actually concerned with the poverty and stigma that go with the widows, women who are divorced, and those with BVF in the community.
In many parts of this country, you will find many young girls suffering BVF, and as a result, they suffer the indignity of stigmatization. People abandon them, and then poverty often does the rest. You will find that many often lose their life. Now, what this place is doing differently is to harness those people so that they bring them together and teach them skills. Various skills are being taught here, and many of them have graduated and now are employers of labor. The story is people are having positive life out of the despair of their own lives.
Partnership worked in 3 places here. An individual donated the land where these women want to build the skills acquisition center. Then they contacted CSDP in Katsina, which gave them grant with which they built the entirety of the skills acquisition center. CSDP support also allowed them to build a motorized borehole and constructed a 160-meter long access road. The grant also allowed them to build a toilet and fence the center. The CSDP support also allowed them to buy some of the equipment they need for the center. You just need to see the attention on the faces of these women, all engrossed in various skills acquisition activities.
We started with orphans, children of the needy and vulnerable. We took off with 30 people, and along the way, COVID-19 stopped us. When the cases relaxed, we resumed, and now we are over 400 and working hard.
Many of the women, including these ones, say widowhood and being a victim of BVF can be a torture, but they are making headway now. In Rimi, the headquarters of Rimi local government area, a disabled group have also sought a means to end begging and low level of income. Under the name Himma Bata Garagu, they contacted CSDP in Katsina for a support to build a skills acquisition center for their group. With CSDP support, the disabled group built blocks of classes and all the working materials they will require at the center.
In every community to develop, the members of the community has to consider a less privileged among them. In order to help them, we need to have a center where they would be trained in formal education and vocational skills. In first instance, we decided to have only the blind. But after we have a support from CSDP project, they agree to come and build the schools to us.
All disabled groups are united here: the blind, the hearing impaired, and the crippled group. The blind are factored into computer training and braille. They have a class of their own. Many of them have never had contact with the English language or any alphabet of the English, but some of them are coming out good with their training now. In other classes, the hearing impaired are engrossed into their chair making. The cripples are making maths. It is quite exciting to see this group of people really trying very hard to develop a workable skill. The group sustain their center from the proceeds of the product they sell. They also train able-bodied people from the community at a price.
The major problem having rehabilitating disabled in Nigeria is access to market. Like here, I've been a workshop. Those that are trained here, we are not going to ask them after you produce your materials, go and sell it. No. When they finish, they will leave the materials with us. We are the ones to have the responsibility to market the project, to have a collaboration with businessmen and women in the town and advertising to other government officials that this is what such kind of group are doing.
Not far away from where Himma Batagarago disabled group trained their members on various skills, another significant CSDP intervention is working with the Magnificence. It is a project in support of girls' education. It is not too open. You come across a community secondary schools in the north generally. But the Sabor in Walo group, a Rimi local government area, are plotting girls' community secondary school in support of girls' education.
We were conducting a research in 2011 where we find out there is more than 420 girls were graduation from primary school. But very unfortunate, only 40% were opportunity to go to secondary school due to that lack of secondary schools. And in SS1, we opportunity to take only 50 students. And due to this project, we are now opportunity to take 100 students.
When the group contacted CSDP in Katsina, they supported the group, where they built 6 classrooms, 4 offices, and they upgraded their motorized borehole.
The environment is better. And if you go around and see some primary school, you observe that more graduates from primary school were interested in this school.
We have oral tradition and...
The good news from the school is that the students are learning, and the school ran courses in arts and sciences. It is not like the parents pay for their girls' education. Every student pays only 2,000 naira a term, 6,000 naira per year. Randawa Primary School is big. When in full session, it can have as many as 3,000 pupils. It is also a community school. Something is peculiar about this school. It mostly carries out of school children, mopping them from the street and bringing them back to school, or in many situations, introducing them to school. To ensure the students do not run away, the Randawa community sought the intervention of CSDP to fund the school. Not only did CSDP oblige them with the grant with which they fund the school, it also supported them to build a hand pump for the students.
Because with this, children will not go away from school. They will not escape from the school. That's why we request the fencing of the primary school.
Although comes to this school because they want to call back the pupils who are not at the school. When they see what we do about calling back the students, come back to school, especially those who are, somebody's come back from Quranic schools and they sit at home, will return back to school. So when they come to see, we gather the students. So they say they will do something for us.
This primary school in Randawa also benefits from Owando Foundation, which built one block of 2 classrooms for them. It also offered them scholarship up to university to any 2 most outstanding students of the school. It is the case of the partnership the CSDP is also advocating. Under our CDP, or Community Development Plan, CSDP also renovated Randawa Primary Health Care Center. It is far away from the school, but the health center has not seen facelift for over 40 years of its life. We all gather to benefit from some of the facilities available at the health center now. The renovation includes the provision of clinical facilities. In all, Katsina State government believes CSDP has been a huge support to development issues in the state and is ready to support all programs of the agency.
Quite a number of the people in the rural areas honestly are poor. It has been very difficult some years back to even get people to enroll their children to school. You understand? Some even prefer to leave their society, to leave their communities in order not to enroll their children in school. So in a place where you are battling with this, so you see it is not easy overnight to bring this kind of thing. People understand, appreciate it, and even embrace it. But what the World Bank is doing now through this agency, I believe people will gradually adopt this system, and the government should encourage it. It has been the tradition of this state, any intervention by any donor agency, by any organization, the state government is willing to partner with such organization and also provide the necessary support as required by the guidelines, by the documents of that organization.
We have also benefited with the enormous contribution of state governments across the country who have believed in this idea and who are also willing, to, first of all, to institutionalize the CSDA, the Community and Social Development Agencies in their state, to become statutory agencies of government, and they have been providing funding support to this intervention over years. We have state government that have provided resources in excess of 1.5 billion over this period of 11 years. So the leadership is from the federal, from the bank, from the federal government, as well as from the state government. So we have benefited enormously from this.
It happened that across all the states we visited, there is more hunger for CSDP projects from even those who earlier benefited. It is perhaps the most successful interventionist program in the country by miles. The question is, why is it so successful, and what can governments and support systems learn from it?
Economic downturn, all other economic or natural shocks are part of life, and they will always occur. And the people that are likely to be immediately affected, which are the poor, will always have to be assisted. So every state, every federal structure, every country and governance needs to have in their back pocket a structure and a mechanism that can be used to immediately respond. And it should not be a structure that should be too far away from the poor. It should be a structure that is actually at their doorstep and they can easily go to. And that's why, at least at the state level, having a structure like the CSDA permanently there to be able to help to respond.
It happens now that a successor program is underway with all the promise of the first. What will the new program do differently, and what are its areas of concern?
In terms of crisis, there are 3 stages. So there's the immediate relief. There will be food distribution, there will be cash transfers, and cash transfer is an element of care. Then there is the second stage, which is the transition period. And the transition period will look at some stimulus initiatives like agricultural grants, educational grants, small businesses grants to help people come back to life in terms of their businesses. And then you have the recovery period. So care sits between immediate relief and transitional period.
What is coming under CARES is huge. It has never been like that before. And it's coming as an emergency. It's coming to be done in 2 years. Each state will have about 1 billion of resources from the international agencies added to the little that they have to be able to respond to the poor. And 80% of this amount of resources, we expect it to go directly to the poor. And that's why the CDD mechanism under the CSDP is actually the most appropriate at this point in time.
In fact, the governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matole, appreciates CSDP National for recognizing Zamfara State in the implementation of the successor program, NG Cares.
I would like to thank the CSDP for its assistance in preparation of NCARES in Zamfara State. The state has been given 235,086,500 to help it prepare for the implementation of the NCARES program.
Generally, CSDP is an experience of performance that is not limited by distance or terrain, a performance driven by passion and integrity, a performance that truly attempted to bring succor to the poor and to the vulnerable.